Alright, got one of these Chinese Amazon diesel motors, 16F. Everything else is in Chinese. It looks alright. Tank is dented. I was expecting some shipping damage. I was kind of expecting it here, but yeah. This isn't a big deal, to me anyway. I didn't notice any fuel in there. Little screen, empty. There's oil on the dipstick, but it looks questionable. Decompression, it pulls over. So far, first thing, these muffler bolts were super loose, and yeah, but the gasket was tight, so it probably would have been okay if I would have just tightened it. I haven't even ran this thing yet. That's gross. So I'm assuming this little chisel mark, it's definitely not in the casting, is TDC. Oh yeah, you can see the piston in there. In the injector hole. Barely, but anyways, that's TDC, this little chisel mark. I'm sure that's what it is. Yeah. Alright, so the exhaust valve is tighter than 5 thou. Doesn't fit. And the intake is about 7. Because this is a 6 and it's just loose. So this is probably 7 and this is like 4 maybe. So I'll have to adjust those. You see that bump? That was right there in that clean spot. And I just moved it over with my finger, see what it was. It's pretty sooty in here. Doesn't feel like metal. It's definitely something. Gasket material or like a piece of dirt. I don't know what it is, but I can't break it in my fingers. Carbon's not built up very much. Okay, well this is like awful. I can't believe that's in there. Look at that metal filings. I haven't even ran this thing yet. Like, man. Oh, somebody has though. Look at that key. That key's got some issues. Yeah, I never noticed that. like it. Come on, camera, focus. There you go. Yeah, I don't like that. Oh. It's pretty shiny. Over side of my shop, I get better lights. You can just see the metal lines in the oil. It's just metallic. That's brutal. There's some debris at the top too. Up there, you can see it. All right, well, I'll get all this stuff out of here and cleaned up. So there's marks on my skirts, vertical scratches. This side's not as bad. Well, you can see them. You get the light the right way. But my cylinder has lines in it. This one's worse. Like, what the heck, man? Like, a little bit of manufacturing debris in the bottom is one thing, but like, that's more than manufacturing debris in my opinion. The bolts were tight on the rod. Most of the bolts were tight on the inside anyway. Can't think of anything that was loose in here, but like, I don't know, that cylinder scoring, I don't like that. Also too, the oil drain is here. So here's the gallery. It's very sharp. And then you have this giant pool of oil over here that can't get over the hump. This bolt hole only goes to here. So all of this hump doesn't do anything. There's nothing, like, there's a divot here. And there shouldn't be, like, this divot doesn't need to be there. It's just there so you can't drain the oil out properly. So that sucks too. So in order to get the oil out, you have to like tip it right over, because you'll never get all the oil out unless you drilled and tapped another hole through here, straight through. But drain both sides. The case looks good. Head looks good. I had that one piece in the head on top of the piston. I had that whole metallic pool here, and I had a bunch up in here that I wiped out, brake cleaned it out. This scoring on the cylinder, scoring on the skirt, and the fuel tank is dented in. So that's my complaint. That's what I got. Oh, and the crank. this keyway has a gouge out of it. Yeah, that's what I found so far. Completely disassembled. I didn't disassemble the fuel system, the injector, or the injector pump. I left it intact here. Okay, the case is clean. Clean the crank. Clean the piston and rod. I have some Permatex engine assembly lube. I'm going to be putting it on here. I'll put it on in that hole there for the cam, and that hole there also for the cam. That's probably all. I'll probably put it on the camshaft lobes as well. I'll put it on the lobes, and also for the injector, I'll put it on there too. And that's all I'm gonna put it on. It'll go on the lifters because it's on the cam. Other than that, should be just straight assembly. 1040 engine oil. I'm gonna put on the crank, so when it slides through the seal, it's gonna be lubed, won't cut it. Torque the rod bolts to 15. I put the lifters in, and I put assembly lube on the lobes and the lifters, and I also put assembly lube in the hole in the case because there's no bearings for the cam. It just rides in the case like this, so I made sure I had good lube in there and it was clean. Stuff's really sticky. I'll have to clean the gasket surface first. But time for the governor arm and then the injector. Pump. I do really like that this pump has a roller, because there's probably quite a bit of pressure on there when it's pumping. So got to make sure to line this up with the hole in the slot in the governor. The timing marks line up, and piston's at the top, and the injection pump is just about ready to fire. Or it's at about max stroke, I think. So when I tighten this down, I just squeezed it and then tightened the bolts, and then torqued them to 15 foot-pounds. And I just been putting just a tiny dab of Loctite on everything. Now I'll put the side cover on, clean this off, lube the shaft. I'll put a bunch of engine assembly lube on this hole there for the cam. Clean it. There's the governor. Those weights spring out when it spins. So you can push the center. So just a centrifugal governor. Simple. Paper gasket. Clean it up. Put it on. It's nice that they have the aligning dowel. 2 aligning dowels, so you can't really get it misaligned. When you go to put this cover on, you got to be careful. You got to get the camshaft lined up to this hole. you got to wiggle everything a little bit. So don't just go cinching down the bolts. You got to get that camshaft in that hole. And also there's that gear that goes here-ish. It has to mesh with the crank gear. So you gotta get that meshed, you gotta get that in the hole. So just give the engine a rotation and it should line up. This anyway. You might have to wiggle this a little bit to get this one in there, but yeah, it's not that hard. So good. Now I'll put the head on. Got the head torqued down. Did that 3 steps up to 34. Put the rocker arm assembly on. 15 foot-pounds. Exhaust I set to 7 thou. Intake I set to 6 thou. Torque these to 13. But you can see there's some wiggle. And the whole tower rotates just a little bit. So I had it before. It was over and this rocker arm was just like barely on, like it was like flush there with this valve. So I loosened this bolt off and turned it, torqued it back down again, and it was good. It just wasn't straight. So there isn't a pin that holds it straight, or if there is, it's loose. So just make sure that your rocker arms hit your valves straight. So I put diesel in it, went to prime it, and this decompression lever just popped off. Just went poof, bounced on the floor over there. I was holding this down to prime it, and yeah, just ting, fell right off. Bugger. So now I'll have to drill this out and re-weld it on there. The original start actually was pretty good. I had the injector line cracked here. I just held the decompression lever and just pulled it like 10 times till I saw fuel, shut it, and it pretty well fired first pull. And now it starts pretty good. Go to the compression stroke, hit the decompression, and just got the dent out of my fuel tank. Pulled up like 3/4 of an inch. This side is dented. You can still see a dent here and here. But I just put this in and lift it up, and the point of this pry bar would hit here and here. So that worked pretty good. Okay, so that's how full it is. So we'll see how long it runs. I'm guessing like just about 8 hours. I'm gonna say just about 8. It's -5 Celsius here. I'm sure it won't start without ether or some heat. Alright, I haven't touched it yet. Just put fuel in it. Smoking. It might start if it had electric start and you could crank it for a bit. I'm just going to try this. About 15 seconds worth. It's close. Belts are shaking. They're pretty rough. I don't know if you can see it shaking. Smoking a bit. I got it revved like as full as I can get it. Just a trickle. Probably about 250 bushels an hour. Something like that. 7-inch, 51 foot. Good auger, a lot more than this, I think, actually. Pretty good little motor. We'll see how it does on fuel in the next couple days. One other thing that I forgot to mention is I put a claim in with the Amazon seller, and he gave me 50 bucks back for having damage. So he said 30, I said 50, and that was good enough for me. So yeah, I'll probably order another one of these engines. I do like it. We'll see how long it lasts, but I do like it. Starts not as good as a gas motor, but I knew that. But it still starts pretty good with just a little bit of heat or ether. As of right now, I got about 40 hours on it, no issues.